Okay, Baylor week. Baylor's led, on offense. Charlie Brewer, dynamic, dual threat quarterback, really good with his feet. He is very accurate. Stellar high school career out of Lake Travis. I think they got 3 legit wideouts. Mims outside. He's a man. You see him high point the ball, big, strong hands, comes down with catches. And three running backs, 6, 7, and 25, can all play. They're all dynamic. It's interesting to see how they're being built from the way Coach Rule's building that. Maybe even a little, Big Ten-ish. And when I say that's out of, Matt's past from the Big Ten when he played. I mean, you see a 6'6", 300-pound tight end. Both tackles are 6'6", 6'7". The center's 6'6". I mean, they're large humans. I mean, really, really big, and they got girth. They've beefed up the O-line and the D-line since they've been there. Truly respect that because I think that's where you win ball games is in the trenches. On the flip side, on defense, they're senior-oriented. That's probably why they're playing really, really good right now. I think that's a big part of the reason why they're 5-0. They've got a plan. They've got a coordinator that's a veteran, and they stuck by their plan. 8 seniors, 3 senior DBs, the 3 senior linebackers, and a couple of the D linemen. 99 is a load inside. Again, girth, huge chest cavity. I mean, the guy's big. He's a load inside. The linebackers, one young man's from East Texas, one's from West Texas. They play the game the way they're supposed to be played. A lot of respect for the way they run the football. They're very, very well coached. Matt Rule's done a good job. 1-11 to 7-6 to now top 25 in the country, 5-0. They've earned it. They've done it the right way. I've only known Matt for a few years, but tremendous amount of respect for that staff. I've known Joey McGuire, David Wetzel for a long time. Sean Bell, he's done it the right way. They've done it by grinding, and they've done it by recruiting, and I think they're a bunch of tough guys, and so I respect the things that I see on film from Baylor, and so it'll be a tremendous challenge to go on the road, see if we can find a way to win, and I think that's the next step for our guys is how do we win on the road here at Texas Tech. So with that, I'll go ahead and open it up for any questions.
Coach, where do you want to see Jed build from last week's performance going up against Baylor this week?
That's what you want him to do is build on it, take another step in the right direction. Starts with his preparation on a Monday, his mindset at 6:30 on a Monday morning, and then trying to win today. So I think we all expect him to take a step, and I think it starts with the preparation during the week.
Jordan Brooks had mentioned last week about a players-only meeting that they called and held. From a head coaching perspective, is it nice to see that sort of accountability from the older guys and from the team as a whole?
Well, I think it's not where we want it to be yet, but I think it's trying to become player-led. It's not a player-run program, but hopefully it'll become a player-led program, and I think that's when you can have special teams. I think that's when you become consistent across the years in a program. So there's a lot of things that go on during a football season, and when your players and your leaders, your captains, are side by side with coaches, and that trust and that relationship, I think if the work goes in, if you're talented, if the ball bounces right, sometimes you'll win a lot of games. We're trying to reduce the margin for error on Saturday with what we do throughout the week. And so I think leadership and player-led leadership goes a long ways in that.
Coming off the defensive performance on Saturday, what is it about Patterson's coaching style that allows these players to adapt so quickly to a new system?
Well, we're certainly not there yet, but I think they're starting to buy into not just him, but to us and the way we do things. I think he allows freedom within the scheme, but there's certain absolutes that they've got to do. The way they align, their stance, all the little things. I think some of them have taken advantage of it, Jordan being one of them that you mentioned. But again, I think that his performance Saturday is a byproduct of how we played on the defensive line. I think our defense line had their best game of the year against, again, a really good opponent that, I thought an opponent that had dominated the trenches in their 4 games. Probably against Texas it was fairly equal, but the other games they had completely dominated. And so, I think we played well on the D-line, and that probably is the biggest indicator outside of Jordan's own individual performance that relates to how well he played is the D-line.
Obviously, you want the buy-in regardless, but how valuable is it every time you can put these type of performances on tape to say, hey, look, what we're saying, it's true, and here's the proof?
Well, it's the constant, balance of progress daily versus being results-oriented and how we feel. We all feel good today. We all felt better yesterday. We did not feel good a week ago, but it's that performance Saturday does not give us a leg up on Baylor by any means unless we do something about it during the week. So any kind of feelings are over by Monday. And that's the way a consistent program has to be run, and it has to be led by our players. And our players, I truly think that, they're learning that right now. Now, how can we build off that performance, because that was a lot closer to what we want it to be. I think we took a step in the right direction Saturday. We played physical on both sides of the ball. We created takeaways. They didn't serve any up to us. We created them. And, we need to capitalize better off of them on offense. Early on, the first 3, we only came away with 10 points. It's not good enough. We didn't play with good enough red zone offense. So there's still plenty to work on. But I think it's a step in the right direction Saturday. Got to build off of it now.
When it comes to Jordan, when you watched him on tape coming in, what kind of made you guys think that, okay, this is the guy who maybe you want to be at the center of your linebacker corps?
Well, I know you're not trying to trick me, but I didn't really watch much tape from last year. So I didn't really have that. But I had talked to some coaches that were in this league, and they all told me number one's a dynamic player. So I got that from coaches more than anything. You see how he practices in the spring, and he changed his body from May through to August. He leaned out. He gained more lean muscle. I think he became a step faster. He's playing with a lot of confidence right now.
But you mentioned Doug Coleman in training camp, how you were high on him, how he was impressing you. Now this year, 5 interceptions already this season, leading the Big 12. Has he kind of exceeded the expectations you had for him this year, and what have you really seen from him?
I didn't put any expectations on him. I don't put that on players. I don't think that's right. Never put parameters on a player, good or bad. Every day's a new day. We allow them to come earn everything that they get. Doug's performance over the spring and the summer, I think, I think it all gave us hope that he had a chance to have a really good senior year. He certainly started off that way. He's been at the right place at the right time. He's been very consistent. He's a consistent special teams player. He's a good leader for us. He works hard. It's important to Doug Coleman. And I'm happy for the way he started his senior year. More work, more out there for him. We still got a lot of games left.
When you play a 3-man front and when you kind of play with that few guys up there, how much more stress does it put on your linebackers, and how much does it lean on good linebacker play?
Well, yeah, whether you play a 4-down front or a 3-down front, I don't think it puts any more stress on backers, because it depends on how many DBs you play with in the scheme. But certainly you have to play well at linebacker in any defense. My reference to Baylor would be those 3 senior linebackers, I think, playing at a high level right now, which is why they're playing pretty good on defense. I think Rico's been consistent for us, and Jordan has been, he's pretty outstanding Saturday.
You talked about it a little bit in your opening statement, but as a guy who probably wants to get to that point, how much can you admire what Matt Rhule's been able to do in such a short time at Baylor?
Yeah, just similar to what I said in the opening statement. short time, 2.5 years, he's already gotten them in the top 25. And I think he's made a tremendous amount of progress, it looks like. And I hadn't really studied him the last 2 years, but it was just outside looking in and knowing, you know, I guess I don't have great knowledge, but knowing what he came into, at least publicly, just with the numbers and the attrition and scholarship numbers and those things, he's built them into a very tough, accountable football team. I mean, you go 5-0 right now and you're in the top 25. Those guys are accountable. They're disciplined. They don't give games away. They win games. You know, before you win games, you got to not lose it, and they're not losing games because of their discipline and their accountability and their toughness. And I think that's a direct reflection of their coaching staff.
With you saying that Jack will be out the rest of the season, how comfortable are you with Weston Wright's progress and him having a bigger role, or Casey Verhulst?
Yeah, I think Weston and Casey, you know, now's the time for them to step up. They're going to get a lot more opportunities, Don. They're going to get their more snaps. It's a time for Terrence to up his game as well. I think that's something that doesn't ever get mentioned enough. But it's similar to Jet's performance on offense. Jet had a good performance because the guys around him played well. Dawson Deaton needs to up his game and play well. I thought Dawson did play well Saturday. Terrence played well. But the guys around those two guys need to produce and to play well as well, not just those two.
What was it about Terrence? He had started 39 games here. Every one of them had been at tackle. What is it about him that made y'all look at him and say, let's move him to guard at the beginning of the game Saturday?
Well, it wasn't anything. It had nothing to do with the last 39 games. Nothing. I mean, we moved him to left in training camp, and then he got hurt this summer, so we moved Bruffy back. And then he came in. Bruffy's playing pretty good. Comes back to the Arizona game, so he goes to right because he's played both. And then Jack goes down, and so we need him at right guard because we didn't think Casey was ready for the entire game at right tackle. We didn't think Weston was ready for the entire game at right guard. And so, you know, I don't think it's a secret or anything. I think you'll see all three of those guys on the right side in some kind of combination.
Who do you think will fill Rico's role for the first half on Saturday?
A lot of guys. I don't know. Stringer, Benson, Rambo, Tyreek Matthews. I mean, I don't know. KP's going to figure it out. He'll figure it out by Saturday.
Mentioning Rambo, since he hadn't played in the last couple of weeks, is he back then?
Yeah, he should be back this week.
What about Adrian Fry?
Day to day.
Coach, you talked about wanting to learn to win on the road. Is there a Mac Wells guide to being successful on the road, or is it just the same things?
No. I think it's just our mindset here at Texas Tech that our guys have to take on the road. I think so much of it is gone. I think so much of it has to do with Monday through Friday. And then you do have to have a mindset of how do we play together on the road, because we don't have the energy, we don't have the crowd, our Jones Stadium crowd, all that kind of stuff. But, you know, teams have to learn to win on the road. And so, you know, we're 0-2. You know, I think part of the plan is Monday through Friday, we've got to practice well and play well here before we get on the road. So there's no magic formula. You better win in the trenches.
When this game was announced, you know, that it was going to be in Waco for the first time in forever, the fan base got excited about going to see the new stadium, and after the win this weekend, that's amplified for sure. Have you noticed a sense of the fan base being excited to see what this team can do in Waco?
Just a little bit. Maybe you're talking about like the last 48 hours?
Well, since you got here,
Oh.
playing stadium.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, especially from our alumni base and the former players. Quite honestly, I expect to see a lot of Red Raiders down there. I know we have a tremendous alumni contingent in Dallas and the Metroplex, and Houston's not that far either. So I do expect to see a lot of them. I know some of them have already reached out to me, but they're not all going to reach out. I get that. But Texas Tech fans travel well. We traveled well to Tucson. There was a good contingent in Norman. So hopefully they'll turn out, but we'll want to play well in front of them.
Coach, last week the team responded from the tough loss. How do you get this team or teach this team to handle success?
Yeah. Well, we'll see if we handle it well this week. We'll see how we do it. I think the biggest thing is you've got to learn to rinse and repeat. You've got to create a sense of urgency. You have to have really good practice habits, organizing your lifestyle, all the things that we try to teach and trying to change this culture here. That goes into it quite a bit, but it's the player's mindset. The likes and the retweets and all that stuff needs to be over now. And the longer it lingers, the softer you get, to be honest with you.
What do you think of Dante Thompson's game?
Dante's played well. He's an emotional player. He's a good practice player. He made some big catches that continued drives, especially early in the game on the third down. First or second series, had to be the second series then, maybe the second series of the game. Good special teams player, playing well. Happy for him, his senior year. He's doing a good job.
Seems like he catches a high percentage of balls that are in traffic.
Competitive catches. I think not only Dante, but T.J. Vasher made some competitive catches. We always say you got to catch your share of 50-50 balls. T.J. made a couple catches that weren't 50-50. The odds say, those ESPN deals. Y'all seen that new deal on analytics and all the stuff, percentage of catches? Who in the world makes that number up? That's a heck of a deal, isn't it? Not anybody in this room? Let the record state I did not say that. Okay. I think some of TJ's catches, the catch that RJ made down the west sideline, those aren't 50-50 balls. Those guys made some really competitive catches in the game. Keyshawn made a great catch in the corner of the end zone. That's examples of guys stepping up and playing well around a quarterback and now giving your offense confidence. But that's a great example. Dante's not the only one making competitive catches.
Following up on that, particularly from the outside receiver standpoint, they were doing that against two cornerbacks that have started 31 games apiece with A.J. Green and Rodarius Williams. What do you think it was about that this week your outside guy?
Yeah, I don't know, Don, but Williams and Green are good. They're really good. I talked about them in here a week ago on Monday, if I'm not mistaken. They got track speed. They are legit. They got length. They're tall. They look taller than they're listed when you get out there and see them live on the field. But those guys are very talented, and our wideouts played well.
Coach, how do you become more effective on third down? Is that something? How do you work on that specifically, like in practice, or does the offense have to put themselves in better situations on that?
I think you got to be better before that. You got to be better on first down. We struggled on third downs this week, but we just got to play better before it. We'll be fine.
Got time for about two more.
Hey, Coach, I know you can't talk about anybody specifically, but recruiting obviously was a big weekend, a huge win in front of that big crowd. Just overall, what was the reaction from the recruits?
Good. Yeah, it was awesome. Just the kids that are willing to come to Lubbock, contrary to popular belief. We had a lot of kids here on the sideline. That energizes me in recruiting. 11 a.m. kickoff, which means warm-ups are at 10. So everybody can just do the math on how long it takes to drive to Lubbock. But there were a lot of kids driving and a lot of families driving because there were a lot of kids coming off Friday night games, and they weren't the ones doing the driving. It was moms or dads or a high school coach. And to get here before a 10, let's just say they weren't all West Texas kids. So that energizes me. I appreciate you noticing, but yeah, wins like that do help recruiting. I think it shows progress. It's a step in the right direction. Certainly not there yet, by no means. I know that, but recruiting's gone good. The reception's been good, and we got more work to do. We know that.
Week by week, Trey Wolf has seemed to earn more trust. What's his range that you're comfortable with him kicking in? Is there a number that you kind of say, okay, you're getting here?
Yeah, that's kind of like our injury situation. It's kind of day by day. I'm not going to give that in a press conference on Monday. Come on, man. That's like handing the answers to the test and just faxing it right to Waco, man. Solid.
Maybe they want to update the field goal line on the ESPN.
I said I watch that ESPN stuff with analytics. I don't watch the game with the green line, right? Do they do that in college, or is that just the NFL Sunday games?
Maybe it's more just when it gets in that kind of situation under 2 minutes.
Do they do that in college game, though? Do they? Okay.
We're still working on that big field goal. What happened on Saturday on that?
Why is everybody laughing at you in awkward silence right now? Kind of. What happened on the fake field goal?
I mean, it looked like initially it looked like there was a lane there. And then
When you don't block it, guy, it closes real quick. Unsuccessful. My fault.
I know that obviously you brought in a bunch of grad transfers trying to kind of deal with some depth issues that you have. Where do you feel like you are now, and what do you feel like kind of heading forward with recruiting, with transfers you need to do?
Good question. We're going to continue to play in that space, continue to play in that grad transfer market. We're going to have to stay old, I believe, here at Texas Tech, and we're going to, we'll keep scholarships for grad transfers. We've been successful with them this year. I believe this logo has been successful with them in other sports, notably basketball. And just in the last place I was at, we had success with grad transfers. It's part of the world we live in right now. And those guys, if they're the right character, the right makeup, with the right work ethic, and they can fill a need. And I believe they're going to add to our character and our culture here. And we'll look at them, we'll bring them in, and I think you'll see us kind of play in that space, if you will, for certain the next year.
Why do you say specifically that this place you want to stay old? Is that something that you think that all teachers do, or do you think that you're especially?
No, I think it's probably me, my philosophy, Texas Tech. I think, the thing that is, I think, a pretty cool story, somebody ought to write it, I'm talking to a bunch of writers, is the limited amount of seniors that we have right now and the play that you're getting out of those guys right now. I mean, I'd have to kind of look, but, there's a couple of them out for the year with the injuries, but, I mean, we've got like 8 guys suiting up, maybe 7 or 8 playing quite a bit, and they're playing some really good football right now, and they're playing some of the best football in their career. And seniors are special. I've always said, I think the seniors that we came in on December the 1st, I always said they're going to get everything we have, everything the coordinators have, Coach Scholes. We're going to pour everything because I believe they deserve to win. They deserve to have a great season. We're building this program. We're not building this 2019 team, but it's this year, this season, this team, and the investment that we're going to put into it for those guys to go out a winner and to, I think, create a championship foundation and a culture here and chase a championship. We're going to get in the fight. We're right in the middle of the fight right now. It's game 3 of the fight, and we're excited. But those seniors, you can start to see, the clock ticking, if you will. They know they got 7, hopefully 8, maybe 9. We'll see. We don't put a limit on it. And all we're worried about is this week. But, I think you add grad transfers and they're coming in for the right reasons and they're the right guys, then our program will open our arms up, wrap our arms around them, teach them how we do things. But then I think they'll also add to who we are, and not only on the field but in the locker room.
Are y'all giving any thought to redshirting Baylor Smith? Just, I don't think he's redshirted yet and hasn't played in 4 games.
I'm not prepared to talk about that right now. I respect the question, but we haven't made any decisions yet.
Is he out right now? Injury-wise?
He has been out, correct.
You know what the status of Xavier
Xavier's going to have surgery tomorrow. He'll be out for the year. Yeah.
Where is Alabama kind of right now in his recovery?
He's a little ways away, but, like when I said he'll be out for an extended amount of time for a while, that was a few weeks ago, so probably still looking at that timeline.
I was thinking this the other day. We were singing the Matador song with our arms around each other, and it was a great moment because, like you said, we've played countless snaps together and right by our sides, and I know exactly where he's going to be when we run block on double teams. I know exactly where he's going to be in pass pro. He hasn't gotten any faster in the 3 years I've played next to him, so it's not like some unexpected athleticism is going to come out of him. So I love being next to him. I wouldn't trade it for the world. He's my brother. He's someone I look forward to suiting up with. Just out of everyone on this team, just being next to him every single day makes it special.
Just 3 more home wins before you guys get that student party on Broadway from Coach Beard.
Hey, I won't be there. I don't.
Not using that as a motivating factor.
Well, I'm sure the rest of our team is, but I can't. I won't be there. I don't do Broadway.
Why not? I gotta ask you, why
Well,
not?
I'm on camera.
So Baylor is, I guess, you think about where Baylor was 2 years ago to where they are now. And you guys are in the first year of a new head coach. What has Wells kind of done already that makes you confident that you guys can take steps similar to what Baylor's done in the next 2 or 3 years?
That's a good question. I think that what Coach Wells has done a great job of is showing us that Coach Wells can't win football games. The players win football games. We take the coaching plan and he empowers us. He puts all responsibility on us and says, you are the best, most prepared team on the football field. Go attack it. And I 100% believe that. Coach Wells, unfortunately, I know he'd love to, can't strap a helmet on Saturdays. And he tells us that straightforward. Much as he'd like to, he can't hit anyone anymore. I mean, he can, but then he wouldn't be the head coach of Texas Tech football anymore. But he prepares us very, very well and tells us it's our responsibility to win. And, he'll take a bunch of blame and all that stuff, but the players know that it's up to us to execute. And that's very empowering because all the responsibility and all the ownership on everything that we do refers back to us. And that's the God-honest truth. Everything. There's no play call. There's no magic play call on Saturdays. There's no defensive scheme that's going to stop the run every single time. It's the players executing their job, 9 times out of 10 at least. And he makes sure that we know that. So when you empower the players and people become more confident in what they're doing, more confident in the system, then the young guys do as well. And then that's how you build a perpetually growing culture. And that's what we're trying to do here.
How much does last year's game against Baylor stick in your mind?
Oh, good question. A lot. Because it was the last one I played last year. So, it was a rough one because we kind of knew what it meant. And we knew we knew what that game held. And we knew the responsibility that was on us. And when you walk off the field, it's different than a loss. It's different than not just going to a bowl game. The implications are deeper than you. It's people's families. And we kind of understood what that meant. Very personal, very hard feeling, but change has been made because of games like that. And as much as we wanted it to go different, we now have change and we embrace it with optimism. And I can promise you, we're not going to be well acquainted with that feeling ever again.
What did it easier? I think it's easier going into this one than going into a new place. You're not going back to Arlington and playing there. You're looking forward to the newness of that. I know it all doesn't matter once you start playing.
Right.
Being in a new environment that you haven't played at before.
It's a beautiful stadium. It's very clean. I actually haven't been in the away locker room. I did a visit there, unofficial, no worries. And it's a really cool place, a really interesting place. I'm really excited to see how their home crowd is, what they're like, what the energy is going to be like on game day. I'm really excited. So yeah, I don't know if it makes it easier, but I'm looking forward to it.
What did it mean for the team on Saturday to have a Texas Tech crowd that was so loud so early in the day for y'all? It seemed like you were feeding off of that.
Right, absolutely. So, I think that the crowd aspect of football is very underplayed. We speak about home field advantage, but a lot of people don't know what that means. Feeding off that energy when things aren't going your way, when the defense, for instance, when a defense is giving up a couple first downs in a drive, but every third down, the crowd's on their feet going ballistic. That energy, that revamp, you forget how tired you are. You forget that you've already ran 12 plays in the drive, and you just want to provide for that crowd. You want to provide for the guy next to you because it's so loud you can't even focus on how hard you're breathing. Fortunately, they don't make that much noise when we're on offense, but when we score, and you're not just celebrating with your team, but you see everyone else's hands go up. You know, feeding off that energy is extremely underplayed, and it's something I'm very fortunate that we had this past Saturday. You know, a lot of times we've let down, in the past we've let down a lot of home Red Raiders, and people come to watch us play and we've let them down, and hopefully past Saturday people gain more confidence and we start seeing a lot more support, a lot more of that energy that I'm talking about in upcoming Saturdays at home.
Travis, this is a little off topic, but I don't know what your all's Sunday schedule is like, but was it nice to see former coach get his first NFL win against the Steelers?
Oh, I think I could talk about that. Yeah, it was a lot. It was really fun. I texted him, told him congratulations. It was really good to see. You know, I keep up with him and watch him coach and play. It's really a pleasure. I think very prolific offense as well. And you know, that T-shirt has a different logo on it, but he rocks it just as good.